Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Malts and Meeples, and welcome back to my top 100 games of all time 2022 edition. We're going to be starting here with 70 through 61 shortly. But before that, I decided to mix a little rhubarb and strawberry soda, which is pretty good, with vodka, which is, well, vodka, so we'll see how it is. The flavor holds up pretty well, and actually, it's just kind of like any fairly normal mixed drink. So, like I was saying, today we are going to be doing games 70 through 61 on my top 100 list. And this section, if I had to say kind of the theme for it, probably it's more of those party games. I think one thing that probably has happened over the years is of doing this list is that party games, they move down over time, or whichever party game is the one that I'm playing most recently is going to be the one to kind of hit that list. And I want to actually double check here that I am starting in the right spot. I am. So let's get to it. Let's get to the list. At number 70, we have Just One. Just One, starting out that party game part of the list here. Just One is a great party game. It's a cooperative party game where everybody writes down a one-word clue, and the one person who is trying to guess the one-word answer that those one-word clues were given for. Where this game really works well is that if you duplicate a clue, so kind of like Scattergories, if you duplicate a clue or duplicate an answer, those are crossed out. Those aren't, in this case, able to be seen. So if two people say, I don't know, let's say the word is cookie. If two people put down Snickerdoodle, both of them are crossed out. So it's a fun one that it actually plays a pretty decent number of players too. I mean, I think it technically is 7, but you can do 8 easily enough just by passing around the one of the components. And game definitely one that gets pulled out fairly often, and definitely one that I found it really doesn't matter who you play it with, it works well. Then we should be at 69 here. We have another party game, Cross Clues. Cross Clues, another cooperative one actually. I like my cooperative party games apparently. But Cross Clues is going to have you trying to guess the intersection of two words. So, or give a clue to get your teammates, everybody else in the game, to guess that intersection of those two clues. So, you have a grid that's an A through E, 1 through 5, and you have little words that go with them. So let's say A5, A's word was wood, 5's word was wind. What is going to be, if you get the card for A5, that clue that you give there? You might give kite, but if you also have, say, wind and string, now which are people going to go with? And so sometimes you have to hold on or hold off on giving a clue, hold on to that card so that other people can give clues and eliminate some of the other things that you might have given an option for. really fun. Again, another one that works well with basically any group of people because it's simple. And I mean, the concept is simple. Sometimes coming up with that cross section is very difficult. And then at 768, 68 here, we have Marvel United. This includes Marvel United X-Men, though I haven't dug as deeply into that one as just regular Marvel United. But Marvel United is going to be a cooperative game where you're playing as superheroes trying to defeat a villain. I really like how this one allows you to team up with what you're doing. You have your hand of cards. It's a very small hand of cards. You play a card down. And it might have a move and a punch. So you can move once, you can fight once. And then the next person plays down their cards, and they might play a wild. So they could use those two symbols from yours before, that move and the punch, as well as their wild. So you can combo off of what other people are doing to be able to have some pretty big turns. Of course, all the while you're trying to figure out ways to thwart the villain so that you can get to the point where you can attack them, assuming you can attack them. And there's just so many different villains, so many different heroes. And while the heroes aren't necessarily the most unique, you can play as your favorite ones, and they are a little bit different. And then you have the villains, which really do things very differently in the game that work really well. Plus, I love the Marvel IP on it. Obviously, I'm a big Marvel fan. Not obviously, but I'm a big Marvel fan. And yeah, it's one that I feel like I could pull out again with most people and play it. Though it's a little bit trickier now as I'm starting to display all the minis. Then at number 67, we're going to have The Reckoners, another superhero-esque related game. Though The Reckoners is about basically the normal people trying to take down the superpower, the epics. And in particular, take down enough epics, or at least keep them in line so that you can start to research and take out Steel Slayer, the big epic boss in the base game. You have your different Reckoners characters who are going to be trying to do all sorts of different things. It has kind of a Yahtzee mechanic where you're rolling dice and taking different symbols to try and get the right combination of dealing with the other epics underneath Steel Slayer, researching Steel Slayer, getting money so that you can purchase more equipment, everything like that. But there are a couple things that I really kind of stand out to me about this game. One, it's cooperative, and I like cooperative games generally. And with this one, you can do everything basically simultaneously. So everybody rolls, and you're doing your Yahtzee, your 3 rolls, and you're talking about like, okay, I'm starting to get this symbol, so my plan is probably to go and do this. And you can adjust who's keeping what kind of on the fly, but it is all coordinated together in real time. And then once everybody's done rolling and has their dice ready to go, getting tired here apparently, then you start to have your board interactions, your different locations that everybody's going to and moving around the board. And again, that can be done simultaneously. So this is a cooperative game where everyone really can do everything at the same time. It's nice that way because there's no downtime. It's also pretty hard. I think we just eked out a win on easy. We were one turn off. It was either easy or normal. We just squeaked by with a win. like just squeaked by, as barely had enough to finish taking out Steel Slayer. And yeah, we would have been dead for sure. Yeah, next turn. So this should be number 66. Another party game. This one's new to the list, new to me this year. Blank Slate. Blank Slate is going to be another one of those word party games that allows you to write down your answers. So not your Cards Against Humanity Apple style, where you're set with a limited number of cards, but instead you are writing down a one-word response or one-word thing to fill in a blank. That's the whole idea of Blank Slate, is you would have an empty line and the word slate. What word are you going to put in front of it? In this case, blank. But you don't want to match with too many people. If you match with nobody, you get no points. If you match with one other person, you get 3 points. If you match with more than one person, you get 1 point. So you're really trying to find that thing that's just obvious enough that you're going to match with somebody else, but not too obvious that you're going to match with a bunch of people, because, I mean, they're getting points as well at the same time. So it's a lot of fun. Another one of those party games that works well in basically any group. And sometimes it's the blank, then the word, and the other times you can flip over and use the opposite side of the cards for word and then the blank. A good, simple game, but one you can really tailor to the group that you're playing with. I believe this is number 65 now. We have Clever Cubed. This was definitely higher on last year's list. Clever Cubed is my second favorite out of the Clever games that I have played, the physical version of. I have tried Clever Forever, I think it is, the fourth one in that series. And Clever Cubed, I mean, that one just clicks with me. I really like the fact that it's a very high scoring version of, well, the series. And it gives you a ton of combos that you just want to mess around with. The second one, Doppelt so Clever, this one also is known as Clever Hawk Dries. Doppelt so Clever is twice as clever in English. That one, I think, actually missed the list this year. I know that it's not above Clever Cubed. I don't remember talking about it before. It's a really good one, but it's just a tighter board in terms of your interactions, or at least it is for me. Maybe there's some strategy I haven't figured out yet for it, but Clever Cubed, I really like that one. I really have, I have my strategies kind of locked in for that one. '64, we have 5 tribes. So I think this is the highest of what I would consider like a modern classic game on the list. I think there are other games probably on the list that would become modern classics at some point in time coming up here. And, well, there might be one more still on the list that falls into that category. I'll talk about it, kind of explain why it is as high as it is. But 5 Tribes is a really fun game, Mancala style game, where you're picking up meeples off of these different tiles and dropping one off per tile, kind of moving them around. What makes this one, I think, so much fun is everything you can do is fun. Almost all of them. There's certain ones, I think it's the Viziers, that just aren't as fun because you're collecting them and you're trying to have the most, but in a 2-player game, that's not that exciting. Or even a 3-4 player game, trying to have the most is not that exciting. For me, I really like some of the set collection ones. But I think what pushes this game up so high and pushes it over, say, like another Mancala style game, Fruit Picking, which is earlier on my top 100, this one, you also have that bidding for turn order. You're bidding money for turn order, and money is worth points at the end of the game. So you're bidding points away to be the first person to take a move, because that move is going to give you so many points that it's worth it to spend. It's just a fun mechanic, and I mean, rarely do people go too crazy with bidding, but sometimes you bid it up a little bit just because there is that move that you really need. And especially for the set collection one, that's really common to be like, okay, I need to get this good so that I can complete a larger collection to score more points at the end of the game. 63, we have Ganxiang Clever. That's pretty clever. And this is the original from that clever line of games. I think this one just stays at the top because I like how simple it is to play. I have played it so many times. The physical copy, a lot of times. The app, I would guess I probably played the app about 50 times, maybe 100. Somewhere in between 50 and 100. That's a massive gap range. Probably somewhere in between 75 and 100, which is still a huge range. But I've played that a ton. It's always fun to pull back out. And I really enjoy this one just as it's a good combo roll and write without being too complex. There's definitely stuff to think about, but it's not so complex where you're trying to remember everything that you've done. I have a roll and write ordered that might be higher on the list. I don't remember for sure. That, I mean, it offers a tracker basically to remember, like, okay, these are the resources that you got from your roll, and you erase them as you go, or at least you can, to help keep track of things. This one is good combos, clean roll and write, very abstract but a lot of fun. Then this should be 62, I believe. Yes, another party game. Medium. Medium is a competitive-ish party game, and I say ish just because, yes, it is a competitive party game. You are trying to get the most points possible for yourself, but on a round where you're teamed up with somebody else, you both are trying to work together to get that word, the same word that connects that thought, those two words that you have. So you might have the word turtle and you might have bird. Well, my brain immediately would say, okay, if I have turtle and bird, dove. Turtle dove. A dove is a bird. Perfect. We're going to be on the same brain wave. We're going to be connected on that. But you might be like, oh, turtle, there's chocolate. Dove also makes chocolate. Like turtle, I think is turtle chocolates, I think are like caramel and some other things kind of inside a chocolate shell. So you go chocolate, I go dove. Now we have to go again. And we have to try and come up with a word between those two new words that we have. Chocolate and... yeah, well, whatever. I think I messed up my example, but it's still just a fun game where you're trying to work together and everybody else is sitting at the table going like, okay, I have the perfect word. I know precisely what I would do in this case. And then come your turn, can't think of a word to save your life. It always happens, but it's a lot of fun, a lot of good laughs for this game too. And then finishing off the list here at number 61, we're going to have Century Golem Edition. And this could be Century Spice Road as well, though I kind of expect that had I only played Spice Road, that might be lower on the list, or maybe not even on the list, just because the theme of collecting spices not as interesting as collecting gems for golems. And the cool gems, the nice metal coins, the great artwork of the golems. This is a simple kind of hand management engine building game where you're building up a hand of cards to basically manipulate the gems that you have to get certain combinations that allow you to get golems. Turns in this game, and that's the one thing I think that really stands out to me about this game, is the turns in this game just fly by. On your turn, you're either taking a card to add to your hand, you're picking up all the cards you played to put back into your hand, or I guess two other things. You're getting a golem, or you're playing down a card, which is either going to get you more gems or allow you to trade the gems that you do have around. And I mean, a lot of the time turns, because unless somebody buys a card that you were really hoping for, turns aren't going to be that long. And so the game just flies around. It's a really good engine building, hand management experience, especially when you find that combination of like, okay, you have 8 cards in your hand, but you can cycle through 5 of those, and it creates a really nice engine. It allows you to manipulate your gems into ways that you get a wide variety of colors, because, well, you kind of need a variety of colors to be able to trade them in to get those golems, which are going to be endgame trigger, but also one of your big ways to get points. So, there we have it. That is 61. Well, 70 through 61. Let's just recap here quick. At number 70, we had Just One, a cooperative party game where you're trying not to write down the same clue as anybody else, because if you do, both of your clues are eliminated, making it harder for the guesser. At 69, we have Cross Clues, where you're trying to come up with kind of this junction of 2 words in a cooperative experience. At 68, we have Marvel United, another cooperative game on the list. You're playing as Marvel superheroes who are trying to defeat a bad guy. The cool thing about this one is you can combo off of what other people do. What they play down, you get to use the symbols off of that. At 67, we're going to have the Reckoners, where you play as the Reckoners, kind of another cooperative game, working together to take out the big bad guy of the game, fight different epics that are messing up New Kago, the town that you're in, and trying to research and eventually be able to fight the big boss. It's a really good cooperative game where everybody goes all at once. This should be 66. We have Blank Slate, another party game where you're trying to write down a word and match, but ideally just match with one other person. You're filling in a blank in a 2-word combo. So in the case of the box cover, blank would be the blank spot on the list. Slate is the second part. So you're looking for something slate. Something slate. And just works really well. Very simple, but has that nice twist of wanting to match just a little bit, but not too much. 65, we're going to have Clever Cubed. roll and write game. Lots of combos, abstract, but a ton of fun to play and get to the table. And this one is definitely the highest scoring of those games. 64. We have Five Tribes, maybe the highest classic game on the list. Five Tribes has that Mancala style thing, as well as what's known as point salad. You are getting points for everything that you do. 63, we have Ganshan Clever, or That's Pretty Clever, the first of the Clever series. It's a combo roll and write that's easy enough to pick up and teach quickly, and especially with the app, you can knock out a ton of games fast for this one. But it's a lot of fun in person as well, where you're playing off of what other people might be trying to do. And then at 62, we have Medium, another party game. Medium is a game where you're trying to work or get on the same kind of brain wavelength as your opponent, but the person you're working with on your turn, to get that word that connects the two words you guys put down. And it's just fun. Tons of laughs for this one, because there's always some obvious word that everybody misses except for one person. That person says it and everybody's all like, oh my goodness, how did we miss this? Or just, you get a lot of good times out of it. And finally, at number 61, we have Century Golem Edition. Century Golem Edition is a hand management engine building game where you're trying to buy golems. But to do that, or get golems, but to do that, you have to have the right combination of gems. So you're playing down cards from your hand in a really fast game, very fast turn game, with just a lot of fun kind of puzzle about building out that engine in your hand. But with that, we're nearing the halfway point. 60 through 51 next Monday. And it happens every time that I do my top 100. I'm always just so motivated to play a bunch of these games again. Like Century Golem Edition, it's been probably 2 years, which is probably why it's dropped a little bit, but that one is just a ton of fun, and definitely one that I want to get to the table soon. In fact, I can spot where it is on the shelf. Might even try and get it played tomorrow night. But that, thank you so much for watching. Hopefully this has been fun. I'm definitely going a little bit faster this year than I did last year on my top 100. I kind of expect that it's going to slow down a little bit, but I also know my spiel of how to explain some of these games a little bit better now. So hopefully this has been fun. Let me know down in the comments what game you want to try or would make your top 100 out of this section, or maybe one that you don't like as well. And give the video a thumbs up if you're enjoying this content. As always, I have to do the standard YouTube, where if you want to see more of this content, subscribe and click that notification bell. Know when I go live. Generally, though, that's Mondays at 8:30 Central Time, and then Wednesdays at 8. So Wednesday, this upcoming one, I'm going to be playing Stars of Karios, finishing up, I think, probably going to be the last piece of what I'm streaming, because I have Chronicles of Dronagor sitting over there, and I know that ISS Vanguard is getting real close to shipping out, and I'm not sure I'm going to stream that one. Kind of want to play it with some friends, but we'll have to see. And I guess where else can you find me when I'm not streaming? If you want more content on board games or, well, Marvel, I did say I liked Marvel a lot, I have a podcast, 10 Minute Marvel, that comes out every Tuesday. So if you want to know my thoughts on She-Hulk and Werewolf by Night, you can check out the episode that comes out tomorrow. And tomorrow being the 11th of October. Or if you just want more board game or nerdy coverage on different things, head over to nerdologists.com. The link is in the description below. With that, bottoms up